And so today we've got a Tojiro DP Gyuto, an 8.2 inch or 221 centimeter or 210 millimeter Gyuto that I picked up recently off of the internet. And so this one is made in Japan. It's a pretty common knife that I think most people should most likely know about. I've had some what do you call it? I've had a few requests to review Tojiros, and so this is kind of the style of knife or chef knife that I'm most interested in, that I commonly use. I like the handle style, and so for the most part, this is a knife that I'm most comfortable using, or I prefer. But I just wanted to pick one up and review it for you guys. I know it's been a while, so those of you that stayed with me, thank you guys. New subscribers, thanks for subscribing. We're gonna be bringing more content. It's just with COVID and all the other stuff, it's kind of a bit of a challenging situation at the house to try to manage between working from home and the kids going to school at home and trying to find time to review knives and pick up knives. And so with that, let's go ahead and get into it. And so I picked this one up off of Amazon. Amazon's typically hit or miss depending on the vendor that you're pulling from. And so, but for me, it's just easier and convenient to pick it up from Amazon. So we've got the knife, we've got a box, a little pull-out documentation. We're looking at a VG10. The bolster is 18/8 stainless, and we've got sort of a reinforced laminated material. I think they call it Micarta on one of the websites that I looked at, but I don't know for sure. I'll take a look at it and see what I think it is. So it comes protected in this little plastic sleeve, and that's pretty much it. That's what you get. It's the kit and caboodle. All right, let's go ahead and take a weight on this knife real quick. And so I was measuring grams, but this one we're looking at about 190 grams. So it's pretty heavy. It's not the most heavy, but it's got some weight in there. All right, so filling on it, if you've, this is my first Tojiro that I'm looking at, but I've done a lot of reviews or research on the internet, mostly in forums, looking at things of that nature, just to see what sort of the reviews that exist out there. And a lot of the complaints come from the handle, not necessarily the edge. They're pretty much very consistent with their quality control in terms of the edge. You may have some that have issues, most likely with the vendor that you're purchasing from, things of that nature, shipping method, but almost everybody complains about the handle. And right off the bat, I can feel sort of that, maybe the issues that most people might be bringing up with the handle, where you've got not necessarily a separation, but not necessarily the best finish, if you will, between, or fit and finish, where the seams between the handle scales and the bolster and the spine aren't necessarily the best. And so there's a little bit raised, a little bit of a raise there where the handle material, the scale is a little bit lower than the bolster. So you might feel that. Most people won't notice. It's kind of a preference thing. But in terms of quality, this is something that we always look for, sort of fit and finish. The edge itself looks pretty good. It's clean. I don't see any kind of rolling or anything like that. The tip looks straight. The edge itself looks straight to me. This is my first time looking at it outside of the box. I've seen it in the box, I haven't touched it. I do like the traditional Western style handle. It feels a little short, but it's reminiscent of the Mercer that I used. Here's probably where most people are talking about, where they will grind. It's this heel part right here. That one, it's a little sharp on this side, on both of these actually. And so maybe most people might be just sanding that down to get a little bit more a rounded kind of comfort in there. So the spine itself is nice. You can see sort of some kind of a marking on there. I don't know what it is. I can't see it in these lights, but I'll look at it closer later and maybe give you guys a look. It feels kind of short in terms of the profile from the edge to the spine, but and it doesn't really have any kind of flat spots on it. So very traditional style Gyuto that I've used. The spine isn't rounded. It's just a square unfinished type spine. But let's go ahead and check out the balance real quick. And so the balance is going to be right on the bolster itself, or just in front of the bolster. Kind of. Let's see if we can find it. So it's going to be like right on the edge of that bolster, if I can get it to play. Yeah, it's a little bit heavy when you go in front of the bolster, the handle. It's a little bit heavy on the handle. And then it's like right on the edge of that bolster. It still wants to teeter forward. So, and the main thing about the balance is just the comfort, that you want an even distribution between the blade itself and the handle of weight, so that it feels comfortable in the hand. It's not something that you feel like you can't control because the tip is so heavy. If you ever watch Forge and Fire, if they don't consider the balance on most of those swords and knives that they're making, they tend to be very heavy, and so you have a little bit less control if you're doing like a full swing. Not what we're doing here, but if you're trying to hack into something, you might notice that. All right, so let's go ahead and cut into an onion here. Oh, my onion has been soaking a bit. I washed it and put it in a bowl. And so it may not be the best example here, but we'll go ahead and get into it. And so when I cut, I typically do horizontal cuts, primarily because this piece right here, if you just cut like this, it's gonna be a little bit longer. And so I like to cut it across. Now I'm sitting down when I cut, and so most people won't be sitting down, but trying not to put too much pressure on the top and just drawing the knife through just to see sort of how the edge is. It's a factory edge. And then just doing my vertical cuts so I can dice here. And so the pull through, it's got a little bit of drag on it. The profile seems pretty thin. It's not too bad in terms of cutting. And then the push cut for me, I'm naturally a push cut kind of person, and so I feel like you get a lot more power when you push cut than when you're doing a draw. Draw is maybe a little bit more finesse, but it feels pretty good. It's not too bad, not sticking so much, but the tip is nice. The edge is kind of thin in terms of the profile, that you don't feel a lot of drag when you're cutting in there. And so I've got a few things we'll cut just to test it out. All right, so let's go ahead and get this in a bowl. An onion on my floor. I do this for you guys, you know. Put onion all over my studio. All right, so I'll just do some cuts here. Not too bad. Draw cuts, not too bad at all. It feels really, really sharp. And this is the first time I haven't even washed this knife. So coming straight out of the box and going straight into the cutting. And so the draw, not too bad at all. Yeah, it feels very comfortable. I mean, I like the edge, I like the profile. It feels very comfortable in terms of using. It's kind of light. The thing that I compare this one to, just in terms of the style, it would be my MX3, which I happen to have, but let's just do some more cutting here. Ooh, that just glides with a push cut through there. So it just glides through. And I'm not doing any kind of particular cut. I'm just testing it to see sort of how it feels when cutting through this material. Anything, whatever I have on hand, essentially. So it feels very comfortable. The potato isn't necessarily sticking on the edge here. It's a large russet, and man, this is very comfortable, very nice. The feel is really nice. And so good sharpness on it, good balance. Even though you can't really find it on there, it feels very balanced. So I really enjoy it. Let's do a little bit of a clean here. All right, Oh, I got a banana. No one's actually gonna do this, but I just want to try. Bananas are one of those, whenever you try to cut into them, they have like a little sticky kind of residue just from the banana itself, and then you got a little bit of a different kind of texture cutting through the skin. And so, yeah. Just gonna cut it in half and we'll do some sort of like a rock. This kind of reminds me of like a squash or something. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it cuts. It feels really good. The handle is probably my biggest complaint, you know, so all of you guys who have noticed it or complained about the handle and the way that the fit and finish is, yeah, I can understand that. For $85, you know, it's kind of on the lower end of a high-end style, Japanese style knife. This is what a mass-produced type knife I would believe, but in terms of fit and finish, it's all right. This one, this is the MX3. Again, this is the a 10-inch. And if you can notice, this is sort of the differences that I think I'm trying to make people aware of, or that I see in terms of the spine or the handle is, and this one has more of a rounded edge on that heel, whereas this one is very sharp, and maybe people are probably doing a little bit more rounding here itself, as well as here. The fit and finish on the Mercer MX3 is phenomenal. It's very flush, everything is very tight, and then they've got the rounded spine on their knives. And the Mercer comes in, I think, at about just under 100, maybe $97, $98 on Amazon right now. Handle length, very similar, but again, this is an 8-inch for $85. This is a 10-inch for, we'll say, 100. And so a $15 difference between the two. I do enjoy the way that the handle on the Mercer feels compared to the Tojiro. So maybe in order to keep cost downs, that's a little bit of the cost savings in terms of fit and finish. And so, but they're both supposed to be identical in terms of the material, both VG10 cores. And so I don't know, I'm not sure. But I really enjoy my Mercer. And this one is a very good compromise, I would say, in terms of if you're really wanting a traditional Japanese style, made in Japan, manufactured knife, and you're just wanting to get into it, but you don't want to spend too much, a Tojiro DP 210 is a good investment for me. Again, I still really enjoy the fit and finish on the MX3 compared to them. And so if you've got a little bit more money, you want a longer one, I would say pick up an MX3 as well. Consider that. And so, all right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just a quick look, unboxing, if you will, of the Tojiro DP 210. I'll leave all the details in the description box below. Let me know what you guys think. If there's anything else you want me to take a look at, I'll consider it. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one.